Welcome back, everybody, to Flashtalk live from the GFTV studios. We're presented by Bryant Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin that's the head ball coach, Todd Starkey. And, Coach, since you and I have last talked, you've walked away with some hardware and got a true road win at a Power 5 school. So I'd like to think that we kind of set you off on the right foot.
We got to start having breaks like this more often.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was a good run for us. Obviously, starting out west with a win at Oklahoma State against, like you said, a Power 5 opponent in a tough atmosphere, and then coming away with 2 victories in the Christmas City Classic hosted by Lehigh, where we didn't play Lehigh. We ended up, it was a true tournament format. We played Quinnipiac first game and won, and then advanced to play Southern Illinois in the championship. So it was a good run for us for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the game down in Stillwater. And this was an Oklahoma State team that was coming in averaging over 90 points a game, and you hold them into the mid-50s, and you got them to play your style. And I thought it was a fantastic just effort across the board, but especially limiting them to their chances on the offensive end.
Yeah, for sure. We knew that we definitely needed to limit possessions against that team. They had really been a high-powered offense early in the season. Really were looking to get downhill and transition and move the ball pretty quickly and get shots up in the first 8 to 10 seconds of the shot clock. We did a really good job, and we had opportunities of pushing it ourselves. We're opportunistic a little bit, but really tried to play ball control offense, limit possessions. But our defense has been what's been ruling the day for us, and really is something that we've been able to rely on the road so far early in this early part of the season, and feel really good about how we've started on the defensive end for sure.
Well, I thought one of the pivotal points of the game, I believe Oklahoma State went up 7 or so, and then Lindsay went on a personal 8-0 run to bring you guys back into the game, and it was basically one possession the final 4 minutes of that fourth quarter. But that was kind of a tipping point to where a lot of teams would have that game get away from them after they go, a Power 5 goes up 7, but you guys battled back. You shut them down, I believe, 5 or 6 consecutive possessions and stormed back, and then really were able to frustrate them down the stretch.
Yeah, there were a couple opportunities even in the first quarter for the game to get away. I think they started out 9-2 against us, but I think it's a sign of our experience, our veteran leadership. I mean, our players have been in situations like that multiple times before. Thought we did a really good job of responding to those situations, like you said. Katie Shoemate was really in a rhythm that game for sure, and they had kind of changed some things defensively, guarding her a little bit. But we really wanted to play through Lindsay during that stretch, and obviously she played really well at that time as well. But can't go without saying, Katie Shoemate, 23-8 against Oklahoma State was a phenomenal game for her too.
Absolutely. And then you take it down to the last few possessions, and then kind of walk us through one of those final plays where Corinne takes the drive. She goes to the offhand, and it really kind of plays through contact and finishes at the rim. And it wasn't the best game for her, but she scored one of the biggest buckets of the game, and having Shoemate in a rhythm, having Thal getting hot in that fourth quarter, I think kind of Corinne was a perfect option because they're going to be focused on those two.
Sure, no question. I think, kind of leading up to that, though, we had a blown coverage defensively. The possession before, we had a couple of unnamed players not communicate, and we gave up an open 3, and they went up by 1. They hit a huge shot, and for Corinne to come back with the composure she had as a freshman in that situation, we had, multiple options out of that play. Corinne decided, to kind of take it upon herself to really get to the basket. We really wanted to get something going to the basket because we were down 1, instead of settling for a contested jump shot. And, once again, she had struggled earlier in that game to finish some shots, but was getting to the basket. Did a great job of having the guts to come, get downhill, take the contact, finish with her left hand. And then we were able to great defensive play after that by Hannah Young, switching against on their inbounds play at the side to get a hand on it, get a steal, and really secure the win for us. So big plays from really good players down the stretch.
Yeah, you took me into my next question, where it only seemed fitting that the defense kind of sealed the deal for you, because they try to flip they flipped the court, so to speak, to go be able to have 93 feet to kind of inbound, and you forced them into the backcourt. You forced them into a dangerous pass, and it ends up getting knocked away and stole. And you were able to, more or less ice it away from there.
Yeah, it was great. It was, they set a back screen, for a lob place, and Hannah did her job. Her man went up to screen. She was supposed to switch. She did switch. Good communication there from a fifth-year senior. And we said we won that game by 6 inches because if she doesn't stretch her arm out, that last little bit to get the deflection, they're probably going to get a shot right on the front of the rim there. So it was great. We got the deflection. I believe Katie Shoemate came up with the steal on that play after the deflection. They fouled. We came down, hit 2 free throws, and the game was over. So it was a great win for us. Marks the second year in a row we've been able to beat a Power 5. We're 3-2 against Power 5s in the last 2 seasons. So it might be tougher for us to get those games moving forward. But that's the goal, is to not just get these games, but also be competitive and give ourselves opportunities to win.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Christmas City Classic. You guys come in and you play a Quinnipiac team that is when it comes to just women's basketball in general, they're perennially excellent. They've been an 8 or 9 seed, I think, in several tournaments as of late. They're ranked in the top 20 of the mid-major poll, much like you are. I think you guys are up to 11 now, thanks to this nice run. And you really, again, frustrated the Bobcats and knocked off a really solid team in a neutral site game.
Yeah, Coach Fabry obviously does a great job up there. I think 3 or 4 years ago they were in a Sweet 16, and then the year after that they were in the second game of the NCAA tournament. So they're a team that is a perennial mid-major powerhouse. Was really good for us to get a win over them against a tough, well-coached team. Defense, once again, ruled the day for us. Thought we did a phenomenal job of really listening to the scout. This team's been really good at really executing a game plan defensively so far for most of the season. And they did it again in another game where we struggled to shoot the ball. So that's maybe a segue for us moving forward, is talking about that piece of it. But defensively, we've been able to rely on it against a good team and held them to 55 points. So that was a really good. You hold teams in the 50s, good teams in the 50s, you're going to give yourself a pretty good chance to win.
And then you fast forward, I believe you guys got up to 73 against Southern Illinois, and you're able to knock off the Salukis and take home some hardware. So a nice tournament setting to where you get them a taste of what hopefully life is like in March.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we liked about the format of taking this tournament on. A lot of them you already know who you're going to play. It's more like a classic, and this was a tournament format, winners advance. We liked that to give us the experience of advancing, trying to do a scout on short notice, and being able to do that. I thought we did a really good job. Southern Illinois did a great job. High-pressure team, 2 Mississippi State transfers, a TCU transfer. One of the Mississippi State transfers, 6'5", 6'6". So, they did a really good job of pressuring us early. We had 12 first-quarter turnovers, but we were still winning. So we came into that break in play between the first and second quarter and said, hey, listen, we have not played very well. We're winning. I believe it was 16-11. And or maybe it was 12-11. It was close to somewhere in there. A lot of numbers this time of year. But I thought we did a really good job of coming out and taking care of the ball. We only had 3 turnovers in the second quarter. Third quarter, we played excellent basketball, defensively and offensively, and got up by 20. And then a couple crazy things happened at the end of the third quarter. On a drive, we didn't get a foul call. We missed the layup. They go no call on that. They come down. They score a 2-point basket. Come down, we get a shot. They get the offensive rebound with about 3 seconds left. Took what looked like 4 or 5 steps without a dribble, but took a 3/4 court shot, and it nothing but net. So we go up from being up 20 in about 40 seconds to being up 15, and they have a ton of momentum off of this incredible shot. They run over their huddle has a lot more energy than they had just 45 seconds earlier. They come out with new life and put a little run on us, but I never felt like we were out of control of it. They cut it to 7 or 6 a few times. We did a really good job of managing the clock and getting stops down the stretch and beating a very talented Southern Illinois team that's going to just, I think, continue to get better as they move through the season.
Especially we said a lot of new pieces. They're 5 games into it too, so they might just be starting to figure things out as far as a cohesive unit, so to speak.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to figure it out. And, they beat a good Lehigh team before that, so the game before that. So it was really good to come away with that and to win a championship. When you have a chance, we tell that to our players, you get an opportunity to win any kind of championship, you got to seize that opportunity. So champions, we had Champions Trophy. Lindsey Thal was MVP of the tournament. Casey Santoro makes all tournament. Really good performances both days by both of them, but a really good team. Hannah Young in the championship game, 8 points, 10 rebounds. So a lot of contributions from a number of different players, and really pleased. Deanna Gray in some of her first big action in the second quarter has 8 points off the bench for us, which we really needed. So it was really good to see those things happen.
Well, we get some home cooking coming up here with the Saint Bonaventure Bonnies coming to town. And you mentioned a little bit about the offense not traveling the way that you necessarily want it. So let's hope being here in the MAC obviously kind of rights that ship. But like you said, defense travels. You can use the defense to kind of set up the offense, maybe get some rhythm going, and that seemed to be kind of what happened. You get some high percentage shots at the rim, and obviously shooting becomes contagious.
Right. You look at when shooting percentages are low, you look at a couple of things. Are we getting the wrong shots from the wrong players, or are we getting high quality looks? They're just not going in. So it's the latter for us. We've been looking at film. We have really good shooters getting good looks out of the context of our offense, and they're just not going down for us now. Now, would I rather have offense functioning at a high level or defense functioning at a high level at this time of the year? Definitely defense, and we can continue to rest on our because like the old adage, defense travels. So if we can rely on our defense and continue to get better at that as we move through the season, our shots start falling, we get a little bit more efficient offensively. I think we have some really good things ahead of us for sure.
Well, let's take a look very quickly at what the Bonnies are going to bring to the table here on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Saint Bonaventure is a team that's struggling to score right now, kind of like we are, but they're dangerous. They've got a lot of pieces. They've got some experience back. They've got some shooters outside. They've got an athletic post player in Lops that she has really developed a three-point game as well. She's been in the past has been an athletic scorer in multiple places around the court, but has developed a three-point shot. So she's dangerous and versatile. A dangerous team that has played a tough schedule early on, has lost some close games and that type of thing. So the biggest thing for us is, once again, this is an A10 opponent coming in here. Our next two teams coming in, Saint Bonaventure and at Duquesne, are both Atlantic 10 opponents, and good for our conference to go up against those schools. So the biggest thing this time of year is to continue to focus on us and our development, and that typically takes care of what we need it to.
It's a 2 o'clock tip-off from the MAC Center on a Sunday afternoon. Let's keep things rolling, Coach.
That's the plan. Try and get 4 in a row here and focus on St. Bonaventure, then we'll worry about what comes next after that.
Sounds great. Thanks for a few moments of your time here today.
Yep, sounds good. Go Flashes.
Coming up next on Flash Talk, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling, we'll sit down with head men's basketball coach Rob Senderoff, talk a little bit about the South Dakota State game on Friday and the upcoming trip to Gonzaga on Monday evening. And you can catch that game at the official watch party of your Golden Flashes, Water Street Tavern. It's all next on Flash Talk. Welcome back to Flash Talk, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin alongside the head ball coach of our men's basketball program, Rob Senderoff. And Coach, a couple of tough games away from the friendly confines here of the MAC, but he gave Charleston, which we've discussed as a perennially mid-major power, and now the number one team in the nation, all they could handle.
Yeah, obviously tough week. If you're judging it on wins and losses,
Sure.
Which is what we're judging it on. 2 heartbreaking losses, but also played 2 really good teams. College of Charleston, I think, is ranked 26th or 27th in the AP poll. Houston's now the number 1 team in the country, and both of them we had the lead with a minute to go, a little over a minute to go. So a lot of things that we can build off of for the long term. For the short term, it's obviously disappointing that we didn't win those games because we had opportunities to do it, but things we can learn from and get better from.
Well, and you're going on the road and you're getting an experience in a hostile environment, some of the things that we're going to be obviously accustomed to come February, March when we get into the heart of Mid-American Conference play. You guys, like you said, you represented Kent State extremely well, and a couple of breaks just here and there didn't go your way.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, again, that's the number 1 team in the country. So, I think most would have said, if we had any chance to win that game, it would be cause to celebrate, right? And obviously we're disappointed we didn't, but to play that team to the final possession, have a lead with 1:14 to go, down one with the ball, 30 seconds to go, and have two chances to tie it with under 10 seconds to go. That took an unbelievably tough and gritty effort from our team to be in that position. So it's hard to feel positive after you lose a game, but certainly a positive experience. The College of Charleston game, similar in a lot of ways. Gave up a 3 late to give them the lead, and again had a shot to win it at the buzzer. They're 7-1 right now. I think they're ranked, like I said, 26th or 27th.
And their one loss is to North Carolina.
Yeah, one loss to North Carolina on the road. So, I think there's a lot to build off of. It's a long season, and again, while it's really disappointing that we didn't win the games, there's a lot of positives that come out of it. If you look at the computer rankings, and again, computer victories and moral victories aren't something we're looking for, but we moved up over the last week with 2 losses, so we moved up rather significantly in those rankings because of the competition we played, and both teams were expected, on paper to beat us by more than the games were. So we try to build off the things that we can build off of. I do think our team left this week feeling like, we can play with anybody and, have a chance to beat anybody. So, the idea is to get better throughout the course of this non-conference season, play as well as we can in league play, and then give ourselves an opportunity to try to face a Houston or a College of Charleston on a neutral site, in March. So that's what we're all gearing up towards, and hopefully we can continue to grow as a team.
And you held the number 1 team in the nation to 49 points.
Yeah,
I mean,
they scored 100 last night or 2 nights ago. So, like I said, a lot of things we can build off of in my eyes, and defensively, I think we've moved ourselves up to one of the top, 20 teams in the country statistically on the defensive side of the ball. We have some great offensive players, and we need to move the ball a little bit better and try to create more space for our players to operate. But we're trying here. I mean, and we'll continue to get better. And I don't think there's any shame in the results of the games that we played. Again, 2 nights later, Houston beat Norfolk State, who was in the NCAA tournament last year. They beat them by 48 points. So it's the number 1 team in the country for a reason. And, to me, it was like a heavyweight fight that, I think we could have played another 20 minutes and the score would have been 61-60. Like, that's just how it was going to be. And, you know what? We just didn't come up on the right end of that.
Well, we're talking with Coach Rob Senderoff, and a chance for you guys to see them in person this Friday night when they take on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And this is a team in the Jackrabbits that has been a 30-win team. They've kind of run the gamut in the Summit the last couple of years to where everything kind of runs through Brookings. And 3-4 this year, but they've given a number of good teams some great ball games, and I know they opened up with the school down the road, lost by a point in overtime. James Madison's a pretty good team. They gave them all they could handle. Yeah. What can we expect from the Jackrabbits?
Beat Boise State on the road. I mean, they've played an incredibly difficult schedule as well, and like you said, I think in their league, they're still, again, sometimes you look at records, and records are deceiving when you play different competition. Once you play in league play, everybody plays the same schedule. They're still the best team in their conference. Last year they were one of the best offensive teams in the country. This year, I think they lost a couple guys off of last year's team, and they're still trying to find their identity. They're an elite offensive team, incredibly skilled. They're shooting. They've got 3 or 4 guys on the team that are career 40% plus 3-point shooters. So we're going to have to do a great job defensively, be disruptive like we've been. We're going to have to make sure we close out the shooters. And they have as good an inside presence. They have 3 front court guys that rotate, that are all back to the basket scorers, big physical guys. And going to be a challenge for our front court to make sure we match their physicality. You know, a little different than Houston. They're not quite as explosive with offensive rebounding, but they're more skilled in terms of their front court players at being able to score with their back to the basket. So it'll be a challenging game for us, and we're going to need, you know, the fans. We're going to need everybody who can be there to support these guys, and then we're going to need our team to play with tremendous energy.
It's a 7 o'clock tip here at the Mac Center. Doors open at 6. We've even got a nice little concession happy hour leading up to tip-off, which is always a good time. Defensively, what are we going to see from South Dakota State?
Yeah, they play 90% man-to-man, 99%, I should say, man-to-man. I mean, it's a very similar team to Portland. We scrimmaged Wright State earlier this year. I think there's a lot of similarities in South Dakota State to our scrimmage Wright State, Portland when we played them. Good team with you know, experience, used to winning. It's a winning program. You mentioned 30 wins last year. Again, when we signed up for this stretch of games, College of Charleston was coming off 19 wins. I didn't realize they were going to be quite as good as they are this year. You know, Houston, 30 wins. South Dakota State, 30 wins. Gonzaga, 30 wins. So, you know, we've challenged ourselves with this being the one home game in this stretch of 4 games. And we're going to need to play really, really well, share the basketball, create opportunities in transition. It's going to be a huge key for us. And making sure we get them off the three-point line because, like I said, they have 3 or 4 guys off the bench as well, but they're going to have 3 positions on the floor that are 40% plus 3-point shooters.
It's going to take a discipline, like you said, an energetic effort in order to be able to do it. And we need a loud and boisterous crowd because with a team, like you said, that's bringing in this experience, bringing in the just that ability to win, they're not going to get phased in too many environments. So we need the home court advantage to try to get them off their game a little bit.
No doubt, and that's obviously the challenge for us is to get as many people out here as we can to support the team. We're having a good season. It's obviously early, first game in December. You know, being South Dakota State, but after the performances that we've had these last 2 games and again, taking the number 1 team in the country to, you know, the last 30 seconds of the game, you know, our team believes that we have a chance to have a really good season, and we'd love to have everybody here, you know, to be a part of it. So we do have great fans, and the Mac Center is a really, really difficult place to play. We just played in 2 incredible environments. College of Charleston was close to a sellout without their students because of Thanksgiving. Houston was a sellout. So as many people as can get here tomorrow night, that would be great to have the support of the community, our students, and hopefully our guys can give the effort that we've grown to expect from them.
And a pretty solid winning streak going through the Mac Center, I should say, through the Mid-American Conference season last year on into the non-conference this year. And you talk about hostile environments. You're going to go to one of the toughest tickets in all of college basketball on Monday night in the Kennel in Spokane, where you take on Gonzaga. That was a game that kind of came together towards the end of you making your schedule, and obviously going to be a tough but fun environment to play in.
Yeah, that'll be great. And you know, on Saturday, if we talked on Saturday, I'll be talking about it because I'd be thinking about that. But right now, coming off these 2 games that we just played, I'm really trying to make sure that our players and us as coaches stay really locked in because South Dakota State's a dangerous team. They beat, you know, they lost to Akron by 1 in overtime to start the year, and then they came back and beat Boise State on the road, who's one of the favorites in the Mountain West Conference, a good league. Like, this is an experienced team. They're not going to be phased coming in here. We're gonna have to outplay them for 40 minutes, and really trying to make sure that our focus stays on this game tomorrow. We don't look ahead to Monday because if we do, South Dakota State's gonna beat us. So we've got to make sure we're ready and focused and playing hard. And again, I think today we had one of our better practices of the year today. I think guys are really locked into what we need to do to be successful tomorrow and throughout the season. And again, the one thing, even when you lose, sometimes you can build confidence knowing that, we feel as if we can play with anyone. And Houston's margin of victory, their offensive efficiency, all of these numbers were off the charts going into our game. And we did a great job defensively. College of Charleston last night, they beat Old Dominion by 15 points. They've beaten Virginia Tech out of the ACC. They've beaten Davidson. So, there's no shame in losing that game. We're disappointed because there's a lot of plays that we could have made in that game to win. But, we try to get better each night and have a great opportunity tomorrow night to get our 6th win and get ourselves, with the chance to be 6-2 moving into the following week. But it's going to take a great effort. I have tremendous respect for the program that South Dakota State is, and I think, the thing you can't take for granted. You just can't take for granted. Hey, Kent's 5-2. We're just going to be, win the next game. Like, you just can't take it for granted. It's really difficult to win. No matter who you play, it's difficult to win. You see that all throughout the country. And when you're playing a program like that's expecting to win and is picked to win their league and has experienced players that have played in the NCAA tournament, you got to bring forth a great effort, which I expect we'll do tomorrow.
And it's a great opportunity to see, like you said, 2 mid-major powers, kind of a bracket buster like feel. I keep reiterating that with your schedule, but it's true when you look at the Mid-American, the mid-major top 25. It's loaded with Mid-American Conference teams. South Dakota State has been in there perennially this year. It's going to be a tough test, but it's going to be a fun and entertaining game. 7 o'clock tip, doors open at 6 with the happy hour. And Coach, like you said, for those that love basketball and love Kent State, you're not going to be disappointed. This is going to be a fun game.
Yep, absolutely. It's funny you say the mid-majors and all these games feeling like bracket buster games. I was actually talking to the conference office earlier today, and it's the same thing. I think these are the type of games they want us playing. College of Charleston, South Dakota State, Portland. Everyone who got a chance to watch Portland over, Thanksgiving week, they lost to, I think it was
Michigan State.
Michigan State, they probably should have won the game, lost by 1, beat Villanova by 15, lost to Carolina. They had the lead for most of the game, and they played those 3 games without their starting point guard. Their starting point guard played when they played us. So these are good teams and good opponents that, a lot of them you'll end up seeing in March Madness, and hopefully we'll be there too. But these are teams you're going to see in March Madness, and maybe teams that could win games in the tournament. So we get a chance to play them at home. South Dakota State will go back to them next year. Portland will go back to them next year, and College of Charleston will come back to us next year. So these are fun games. They're really, really competitive games, and our kids, again, right now, Malik Jacobs, I think, leads the country in steals. Sin is the reigning conference MVP. Cloran is getting better. Myron's having a great year so far. Gio Vaughn just had 14 points against the number 1 team in the country. Like, we have depth. We've got a group of guys that, are really, really playing hard and love to have everyone, sort of rally behind our team to help us propel, forward throughout the season.
Again, ksutix.com is where you can go to get your tickets or buy them as you walk up to the Kent State ticket office tomorrow night. Again, doors open at 6 with our happy hour. Tip is at 7. And, Coach, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun tomorrow night. And then, obviously, your jet setting off next week, but a couple more opportunities to see it before the holidays.
Yep, absolutely. And then soon we'll blink and it'll be conference play.
That's right. Well, Coach, best of luck tomorrow night when we take on the Jackrabbits. We hope to see everybody there. 7 o'clock tip-off once again. If you can't make it, watch it at Water Street Tavern or catch it on the ESPN app is where you can see that game, or the Kent State Radio Network.
Sounds good, Dan.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.